This is SoundNotion, the weekly podcast for new music and music news. I'm Patrick Gulo.
I'm Nate Blayton.
I'm Sam Merciers.
And I'm David McDonald.
To start this off, guys, do you know what the National Academy of Recording Arts and Sciences is?
I don't know. I think it's great to start the show off with a big, long though. I think they are the people that that send rockets to outer space, right?
Oh, it's almost that you almost have the acronym.
They're run by Elon Musk.
Correct. Yeah. It's actually not that.
Okay.
It's something completely different.
Then educate me.
It is the body that nominates and distributes the Grammy Awards, which we look to every year, in which there is a lot of hubbub amongst the classical industry, thinking that
I'm gonna let you finish, Patrick, but I'm concerned that we may be burying the lead. Because we just, this is funny because we do the show on Sunday mornings and the Grammys are on Sundays and the classical parts of the Grammys are on Sunday afternoons. So we just missed the Grammys last week. So if you're interested in this, you probably already know all about all of the Grammys and about Kanye getting up on stage and interrupting again. But before that happened, in the same building, in the same theater, were not television pretty people also receiving awards that you may have missed, the classical Grammys. They are apparently streamed online. I did not watch them. Did you guys watch them?
No, I didn't.
I did not.
Sadly, no.
Best orchestral performance, or the best orchestral, or the best new composition, I should say, went to John Luther Adams for Become Ocean, which is a nice thing because he got the Pulitzer again last year. We were really pleased to see Parch win for the best chamber ensemble performance.
Yes.
Parch is a percussion ensemble that specializes in, as their name implies, the music of Harry Parch, and
have a bunch of awesome Parch instruments that they've had fabricated themselves.
I was just listening to this record this morning before the show. It's really good. It's very, very good. It's nice to see that weird music like that is being recognized by the Recording Academy, and I would love to meet the nice person who thought to themselves, you know, I really like classical chamber music sometimes. I like this recording of the Haydn string quartets that I listen to in the shower. I bet I would like this new classical music thing that just won the best chamber music performance this year, and they buy a copy of Harry Parch's music. I want to meet that person.
I wonder what CD. You know what? We should look into CD sales of music after the Grammys come out. I don't know if Nielsen's SoundScan is up on. Well, I guess every week they come out with something, right?
It's a weekly thing.
I think more likely is that the Parch, that group is going to get more residencies and stuff, because that's a big thing they do. I actually had the great chance to see them at the University of New Mexico. And they bring in, like I was talking before the show, a marimba that's so large that you have to stand on a giant scaffold behind it. The bars are like 10 feet long, and the resonators are gigantic. Like you can almost stand inside one of the resonators. And they have, and it's a combination sort of masterclass Parch retrospective concert, where they talk about the music, how it's put together, the instruments and how they're put together, and then just fantastic performances of the pieces with all of Parch's instruments fabricated by them or for them.
And this is a record that's on Spotify, by the way, so if you have Spotify, you should check it out because it's really good.
And just a quick correction, that album actually won the best classical compendium.
Oh, you're right.
Category.
I was wrong. They are the best classical compendium.
The small ensemble chamber performance was the Hilary Hahn in 27 pieces.
Right. Thank you for correcting me, because that is also a very cool record.
Soon to be available in print from Boozy and Hawks.
Oh, really?
Yes.
That's cool. Well, I mean, I know that was a shameless plug, but it's also pretty cool.
It was so shameless. Featuring such esteemed composers as David Del Tredici, Mark Anthony Trench.
I think there's a disclosure that's warranted here that Patrick works at Boozy and Hawks.
Well, I can see lots of a lot of those pieces being thrown onto doctoral student programs and stuff like that, and maybe actual touring players will be doing those as encores.
As encores, you think? You think they'd make good encores?
I think they might.
I've heard all of them.
Yeah?
Yep. And well, the CD's out. I mean,
the CD's out. We've talked about it before, and
I've heard them live too.
Them as a program a bunch of times, but they're commissioned as encores, so they're pretty cool. What do you have a favorite, Patrick?
The one I've listened to most is the Del Tredici, which I think is really, really pretty. It's called Farewell. It's about 5 minutes long.
I don't know that I've.
Do you have a recommendation for one that's not pretty?
There is a Sato, I think, piece. I forget what the name of it is, but it's thorny.
Okay.
I don't know that I've listened to all of them, but I listened to a bunch of them, and to me, it's like a lot of people are saying, comparing Beck and Beyonce. They're so different. It just depends on what flavor of thing you're looking for.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they're all over the place. So there's something for everybody in that album.
And not directly related to our gig necessarily, but it seems like it would be easier to calculate Chick Corea's Grammy wins by noting the years he didn't win rather than the years that he did win. It's like he makes an album and he wins an award every year.
Well, it's better than all the others, so what are you going to do?
Well, my man's got skill.
We were saying earlier, actually, another thing I wanted to point out is that this Become Ocean recording, which is a wonderful recording, did actually not win for Best Orchestral Performance. In fact, the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra,
conducted by your man.
Conducted by your boy, David Robertson, won for their recording of City Noir and also the saxophone concerto. So that's a pretty cool thing.
By the other John Adams.
By the other John Adams, John C. Adams, and neither of those recordings won for Best Audio Engineering of a Classical Record. That went instead to an Atlanta Symphony recording, which I'm sure is lovely, but seriously, it should have gone to Become Ocean.
Well, see, the nature. I mean, the recording industry has lots of experience recording things like a saxophone concerto, right? Become Ocean, because of the way it's written, to make it, I think getting that sound across in a recording seems like it would be much touchier, because it's all just lush textures and building and contracting, and it seems like getting that to sound right would be harder to me.
I agree, and that's why I think it should have won.
Yeah.
But
what do we
again,
know?
I'm sure this Atlanta Symphony record is lovely. I've not heard it. But seriously, Recording Academy, get your stuff together.
Yeah, any claymation artists out there who want to put a John Luther Adams and a John C. Adams death match together, that would be pretty funny, just for the record.
And that joke just arrived in a time machine from 1991. And everybody that didn't watch MTV in the late 80s and early 90s is very confused right now. So speaking of awards, or actually, I skipped one. We should go talk about the New York Philharmonic music director. We did not mention last week when we were talking about this that they're also going to be looking for a new concertmaster, and there's been some speculation that might be a part of the search for a music director. Have you guys have any thoughts on these, Patrick?
Yeah. Well, I think they're actively looking at. They're trying out people. Like there's a new person in the chair week by week. Not necessarily every single week or anything, but they're different people have been playing for a little while now since Glenn left. Glenn Dictorow, who was I think 35 years concertmaster. And now the fact that they're looking for a new music director to start in, I guess it'd be 2017. Alan Gilbert said he was going to leave in 2017. So the fall 2017, I'm guessing, when they'd start. And this would be right before they start renovating Avery Fisher Hall into the new hall.
So I wonder if they would delay hiring a new concertmaster until they have hired a new music director, because they are going to have to work together so closely. And it seems like the music director would want to have a say in who that concertmaster is.
Yeah, well, Drew's piece just lays out all the if, thens, and wherefores of the whole situation. Like, if they go ahead and get a new concertmaster, and if they don't between now and the time that Gilbert steps down, that's a long time to go without a concertmaster, right?
Mm-hmm.
But who would want to take the concertmaster position knowing that the whoever they hire as the new music director might want their own person sitting in that chair, right?
Well, I mean, that didn't happen to Glenn Dicterow. You know, he stayed through, I don't know how many music directors, many. No one got rid of him.
Well, I don't think it's an issue of getting rid of them. It's an issue of making the music director, the new music director, happy and the new concertmaster happy. If they're both coming in around the same time, I think that's a pretty fundamental difference between, you know, Dicterow being there for 30 years and then Alan Gilbert coming in.
Yeah. Well, you know, I mean, there are a number of, as far as the music director goes, there are a number of names being floated around, which I'm sure you guys have read about. Simon Rattle is one of the big ones.
That seems insane to me.
Whose contract ends at Berlin in 2018, I think.
Yeah, but isn't he doing a thing in London right now?
He's already scheduled for a lot of shows.
Yeah, he is right now. But I mean, we're talking, you know, a few years in the future. Another is Esa-Pekka Salonen, who is actually just chosen as the composer in residence for the New York Philharmonic for the next few years. But that's, I guess he had said that he's not looking for to be the music director of another large ensemble after L.A.
Yeah, we talked about him a little bit last year, last week, and one of the things we said was that you know, he'd said that he was leaving the conducting thing to spend more time writing.
Yeah.
And I don't know if there is a conducting thing that takes more time than being the music director of the New York Philharmonic.
Yeah.
There's been like a couple articles in the Times and WQXR and other places that have speculated, like Yannick Nézet-Séguin and you know, some younger people, Anders Nelsons and such, you know, when the time comes. But
I can't help but notice that none of the names that you mentioned just now, Patrick, are ladies.
I have not. Well, Marin Alsop, I think, is one name that's been floated.
You don't think they want somebody younger than her? You don't think they want somebody more like a Folletta?
Yeah, I think it is a problem that when anyone thinks of a female conductor, everyone immediately goes to Marin. As great as Marin is, it's too bad that there aren't, you know, we don't think about more women conductors.
Mm-hmm.
Simon Rattle is 60 for the record, so it's not like he's that young.
I actually thought he was older.
Oh. Conducting ages the man.
It happens.
American woman, damn it.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's
at
some
least American.
Yeah, well, there's Sarah Hicks. She's a good conductor. Carolyn
Joanne Folletta has come up in a few of these as well.
Yeah. Oh, she's great. She is great.
I think she would be a really good pick because she's a little younger too, so she could be around for a little bit longer.
Yeah. Well, so we'll see. We'll see what happens.
It will be interesting, and I'm sure we won't talk about rumors of this stuff every week, but
yeah.
This is the first couple of weeks, so it's pretty interesting to us. The American Composers Forum has also given out some awards this week. They are honoring their champions of new music, and I don't know, maybe this guy would be a good pick for the New York Philharmonic. Michael Morgan is the conductor and music director of the Oakland East Bay Symphony, which is really interesting. An organization that houses, according to the PR on New Music Box, houses a professional orchestra as well as a youth orchestra and some educational programs, which is pretty cool. We've already mentioned Claire Chase, the international contemporary ensemble flutist and creator of other awesome things, including that ridiculous project to commission just like seemingly 250,000 pieces in the next 10 years or something like that, as I understand it. And
I think
also,
that number's exactly right.
A slight exaggeration.
I think actually she's going to premiere all 250,000 of them in one program next week.
249,999.
Yes. I was rounding up.
Yeah.
It was rounding up from 50.
Right. Don't judge me. And also, of course, the American Composers Orchestra honored with a Champion of New Music Award from the ACF this week. So that's delightful, and congratulations to all of them. We should get that conductor on the program.
Yes, Michael Morgan.
On the program.
He might not want to take the New York gig because he wouldn't be able to program new music by American composers very often, which apparently is one of the things he likes to do. Mm. Of course, he would probably like that gig.
I think he'd probably take the gig, and I think they might let him, if they were interested in getting him, maybe they would be interested in letting him program some more of the kind of music that he wants to play.
Perhaps.
So, anyway, very, very cool to honor those people. I'm always interested when these awards come out because I learn about new things, like the Oakland East Bay Symphony music director, Michael Morgan. I already knew about ICE, and I already knew about the ACO, but I didn't know about this cool thing that was going on out in Oakland. So that's very cool. I'm going to spend some time this week learning more about them. It's wonderful for the ACF to do those things. And then last we, of course, have the Minnesota Orchestra, which we've mentioned before. Osmo Vanska maybe is a guy that might be interested in the New York Philharmonic gig, even though he just re-upped with Minnesota very recently. You guys think he would be interested in going to New York?
After everything, I'd say no.
No?
Once again, I mean, if we assume that one of the reasons he likes Minnesota is because of their adventurous programming, that he seemingly is, at least in part because of him, he might not want to go to New York where your responsibilities are, let's say, more broad.
Sure. Well, maybe he would be interested in going to Cuba instead.
Absolutely.
Say what?
Minnesota Orchestra is going to be the first orchestra to travel to Cuba since President Obama lifted some of the travel and trade restrictions with Cuba. That's pretty exciting, right?
Thanks.
Yeah. May 15th and 16th, which says, I mean, that as soon as that happened, like they thought, let's go. I mean, they must have started the wheels turning on this like right after it happened. They're going to be performing in Havana. One concert is going to feature Beethoven's Choral Fantasy with the Cuban National Choir and a Cuban pianist, Frank Fernandez. So not just going there to perform, but actually, working with artistic groups there.
Oh, right. I read
to play the music of traditional Cuban composer Ludwig van Beethoven.
No. This was the thing.
Well, they're not just doing the Choral Fantasy; they're really stretching out and doing his Symphony No. 3 also.
They're doing the same program
That's a deep cut.
The orchestra first did when they went there in like the 1930s or something. That's the reason why they're doing it. Mm. It's like to harken back to like when they first went over there or something.
It's hard to. Go ahead, Dave.
I was going to say that's a lovely gesture, and they can do that for one of the concerts. But really, the first concert of an American orchestra in Cuba in 60 years doesn't feature a single American work. That's insane.
Yeah.
They should be embarrassed. I'm actually genuinely mad about that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like if you're going to be a musical ambassador for your nation to another nation that has not had any ambassadors of any kind for over a half a century, you should share some of your culture with them and not 300-year-old other people's culture.
Yeah. How about a Cuban composer as an example?
Sure.
I mean, come on. At least not 2 Beethoven pieces.
Yeah, that's fine. If you want to play one of them in honor of your 1929 trip or whatever it was, that's fine. But this is a really special opportunity, and I feel like it's being wasted with the programming.
Yeah, it should be pointed out that we don't like to single out specific donors a lot on the show, but to me it's interesting that one, I guess, married couple, one would assume, Marilyn and Glenn Nelson, are ponying up all the money to fund the trip. So,
yeah.
Kudos to them.
Mm-hmm.
So, if they had a hand in making it an old Beethoven performance, shame on you, even though you ponied up the money. And if they didn't, then use your influence as the money people, to make them not play just Beethoven. Which, don't get me wrong, I find Beethoven as acceptable as a cowbell.
Yeah. And also, thank you for all your money.
That's a good line. That's a good line, Sam.
It's John Cage's line.
I know. Do we have anything else that we want to bring people's attention to this week? We're gonna wrap it up early.
We're working on a whole pile of guests.
We are working on a pile, which is, I think, a metric measure. If you want to convert that to English units and get back to us, that would be great. But what you should do in the meanwhile is check out this Harry Parch recording, and we'll have links to all the stories that we talked about in our show notes this week at soundnotion.tv/SN. Thank you for checking those out. If you want to read up on any of these stories, if you want to check out the full list of Grammy-winning recordings, you can find all those links on our site. Again, that's soundnotion.tv/SN. You can connect with us on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, subscribe to this show on iTunes, leave us a review, whatever. Even if you don't use iTunes to get your podcasts, leave us a review in the iTunes store, because that's where the review engine is the most beneficial to us. If you'd like to support us, you can find links about how to do that on our site. SoundNotion's introduction includes music by Patrick Gullo. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you back next week.
Bye.
I like it when we manage to make
give a
the show.
Yeah. So what if I did? Yeah.
Bye.